Oops, sorry, I was muted. Sorry, last week, if you recall, there were some. Yeah, I got them. Last week there was some technical malfunctions. So for whatever reason, maybe my OBS or something, my audio was really screwed up. So thanks for coming back this week, any of you that are out there. So I decided, I made an executive decision during the stream that I would just come back this week and do the whole thing again and give Ross and Nick an extra day to enjoy life. Because I just wanted to make sure, if the sound's not working for you guys, then what's the point in doing it? So, I just cut the thing short and I'm back today. And so I'm just going to go back and try to cover what I was going to talk about last week. And this was something, if you weren't tuned in, this was just an idea of my own that I wanted to talk about because I thought it was just something cool. There's so many things that we discuss in these live streams, and sometimes it's hard to think like what has not been covered or what's something unique I could do. So I just wanted to talk about how I use. I've got a couple of patches where I do this dual compressor thing, and so a little backstory on that. I actually learned this from a person who came to a clinic that I was doing a couple of years ago, I think in Oklahoma somewhere, and guy was sharing some presets with me, and he's like, yeah, I run 2 compressors, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool, because he had this great sound. It just sounded really polished, like ready for the studio, or like, just really great in-your-face sound. And he's like, yeah, I'm running 2 compressors. So I was like, oh, you got to show me this, man, because, if you're, aware of like the traditional pedal board arrangement, the order in which things should go, usually you run a compressor at the beginning of your chain, and that's where a compressor should go, very first. Pretty much, maybe I'll put a volume pedal before it, or if I'm using a wah, but the compressor is like the first thing you would use. And honestly, I don't use a compressor in real life a whole lot. I think I went through a phase where I was into it, and then I got over it really quick. But what's cool about this, and it's, you can hear it in this preset, hopefully. What's up, Jerry Trevino? Hey, buddy. Thanks for coming back, man. So, you'll probably notice, at least I noticed, that that's a really sparkly guitar tone, and it just sounds great. It's great for recording and everything else. So this particular preset is one that I've been using for a while, and I've got a compressor at the very front of my chain and a compressor in the very back. So I'm gonna I'm gonna hop over and I'm gonna show you guys just sort of how I would do such a thing first. Let's see. Let's go to here. Voila. And so we've got our nice little Helix editor, and I've set up a totally blank preset. So if you guys have ever watched how I do stuff, the first thing I usually do is go to the very middle of my first path here, and I'm going to try to keep this to a minimum. So I'm just going to try to put everything on just this first row, just for the sake of simplicity, making it easy. So first thing I'll do is go pick out an amp, and we'll do amp plus cab. And I don't know, man. I don't know what kind of amp I'm feeling today. Maybe a Grammatico, in honor of my good buddy John Grammatico here in Nashville. Guy makes good amps. So what's up, Joe, Aiden, Diego? Thank you guys for coming back this week after the craziness from last week. Looks like we got a decent little crowd. So yeah, here we have the Grammatico. I've got the amp plus cab. Let's just see how that sounds. And also, side note, I call that the wind chime chord. I just named that today, but I think that's a nice name for that. So there we go. Matt Krill, what's up? You say you can't see anything in the chat, but hey everyone. Well, I'm sorry you can't see anything in the chat. Most of the comments I'm seeing are on Facebook, but you're on YouTube, so I'm glad you're on there. Tune in wherever you can. So nice sounding amp. Let's give it a little bit of, salt and pepper. How about? We'll hop over here. I'll throw in maybe a bit of reverb. So I don't know if anybody has a preference, but let's just do glitz, because glitz is so juicy. I love that reverb. And the mix is already on 19, so that's probably good. Let's see. Decay is not too high. If you guys aren't into, I'm gonna. Which compressor setting for the John Frusciante tone? We can talk about that a little bit. Not that I really know exactly how John Frusciante did it, but you'll probably notice, because that is a really heavily compressed tone he has. Well, at least like on the Blood Sugar Sex Magic album, that was such a great guitar tone, man. So I've got a little verb going, and now I'm gonna throw in some compression. Okay. So first we'll do a compressor like good guitar players should do, and we'll put one in the beginning. Now, I guess there's a lot of them you could use. A lot of times I'll just go to this red squeeze and put it in the beginning. Oh, also, the first thing you should always do is turn the noise gate on, or the input gate. There we go. Now we're nice and quiet. So I've got the red squeeze, and I pretty much leave it alone except for the mix. I'm going to turn the mix down to 50%. So here's the mix at 100. At zero, it's not really doing anything, and it's a little bit more aggressive on. Thanks, Brandon. What's up, Andrew? So I don't want this on 100 because I'm going to put another compressor in there, so I put this at 50%. Nice, mild. Now we still have, it still sounds, you know, kind of like a natural guitar. Good. And also, I think it's also worth noting. Let me just point this out to you guys. For this, for what I'm doing right now, I've got the coil tap happening here. So that last kind of twangy thing, I was on the bridge pickup, but I am on the coil tap. So if you want to hear just a kind of a comparison, when I go to humbucker, that sounds nice So that's the humbucker, and I'm going to go back. Now, what I really like with this sort of thing is the middle position on this particular guitar. If I'm playing like something with a 5-way selector switch, like maybe 2 or 4, those out of phase, that's my new love kind of in the last year or so. I've really gotten into just that out of phase sound on the 5-way selector switch. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Andrew. Oh yeah, this is a dope Pacifica. This is my main guitar these days. I play it all the time. So, and it's the one I'm most comfortable on, I guess, at the moment. So there's compressor number 1. Let's go back so you can see what I'm doing. There's compressor number 1. And we're gonna go, there's our amp, we've got a little verb, and now let's throw in compressor number 2. So as I mentioned, I put a red squeeze there at the beginning, and I set it to 50%. So I'm gonna go to the back here, and originally, as per my buddy in Oklahoma that showed me this, what he was doing at the time, he was using the LA Studio Comp. Okay, so we're gonna put that there at the end. But I'll show you some other options. I mean, if you just kind of take your time and pay attention to what you're doing, any pair of compressors work, but I like to use different ones. So now this one is at 100. And hopefully you can hear through your computer monitors or whatever you're using. That's just all of a sudden so much more alive. It's just like more in your face. It off to 0, we're going to get, you know, not the effect. So we're going to go back to 50% again. I like both of them on 50%. Okay, so interesting. Let's see here. Steve Gonzalez. Why does it sound better? Is it just because the second compressors boost gain, or does the compressor increase harmonic levels? Maybe. So here's how I think about it, because I don't I'm not necessarily an engineer or what you would call an audiophile. But the first compressor is just doing what a compressor does, which is kind of taking away some of those peaks and valleys and giving you maybe a slight bit of boost. What some friends of mine have told me before that are engineers, they would just say, really, compression is just volume. But I think that's a super broad way of looking at it, because it definitely does compress the sound wave that you're hearing. It does. It's like, I tell people a compressor is like a sonic Prozac. It takes away the peaks and the valleys. So you lose a little bit of nuance, but it just depends on how you set it. If you set it really high, which is cool for doing like the two-handed tapping type stuff, where everything is hammer-ons, you get that compression, and you don't have to worry about being quite as consistent, because when you're doing that sort of thing anyway, you need all the help you can get. So how I view putting the second one at the end, and now for myself right now, I'm monitoring through a power cab, and you guys are hearing the Helix direct. You should be. So if you think about the Helix, the signal direct from Helix, and I've got this amp set to just flat mode, okay, or the power cab, it's set to flat, so it's just behaving as a FR type speaker. So with that compressor at the end, it's behaving more like a compressor in a board in a studio. If you think about it, well, I've got a compressor on my guitar rig here, and I'm playing live in the studio. And then the guy behind the board in the control room is, a lot of times probably going to be throwing a compressor on things too. And to me, in my ventures as a what's the word? Just a novice type engineer. I engineer my own music and stuff. As far as mixing goes. Compression, you got to have it, at least when it comes to the recording, like into the board. Whenever you hear music that's like on streaming or on a CD or something like that, it's one reason it sounds so much different after it's mixed and mastered is it seems like there's just some sort of compression on everything. Every individual track has some sort of compression on it, at least from the majority of my experience. There may be some engineers out there in the audience that may have something different to say, but that's, and when I'm mixing my own music, I end up throwing compression on everything. Now it may not be cranked up super high, but something about it, adding that compression after the fact, it just polishes things up and gives it a little more punch. To me, it just kind of accentuates all the things you need it to. And then by the time you hear that on the radio, it's compressed even more. I used to wonder why things on the radio always seem to slam a little harder, or something about them they just feel different. And the song that comes to mind is Enter Sandman. I know that's silly, but when I was a young lad, I remember hearing it on the radio and just thinking, man, this sounds so much more aggressive than I remembered it sounding on the CD. I remember asking a buddy of mine that was going to audio engineering school, like, why is that? He's like, well, that's because by the time you hear it on the radio, they've compressed the heck out of it. So to me, if you're playing live with a Helix, other than going like 4-cable method, although I have a comment to say about that as well, you have the option to create a studio sound. So here, do I have your attention now? Maybe if I come up here and put myself here. You can, there's so many things you can do live with a Helix. Like you can choose to use a 57 if that's what you want to do, because that's what's commonly used, or 58. But normally you wouldn't take a condenser mic to a gig and mic your amp out with it. But as many of you know, all you guys out there that own Helix, I know you know this already, but you can throw on a condenser mic. Sounds awesome. And if you could use a condenser mic, why wouldn't you? To me. So with a Helix, I can basically use a virtual condenser mic or a ribbon mic, or pair up a couple of mics, and get more of studio quality sound in a live environment, and then I can do the same thing with the compression, and I probably don't really use, I wouldn't use a preset with a compressor used in a traditional sense. I'd probably just not use a compressor at all. But if I have a Helix, I like to run 2 compressors, because by the time you have the 2 of them going, it just creates this, to me it's like organic. It's just really in your face, and it's got the same qualities that you would hear in a recording. And now, just as I'm thinking about this, for the heck of it, I want to see what mic I've got. I didn't even check the mic on the amplifier. So right now, so we're already on a 121 ribbon mic, and so that's why that's one reason it just already sounds good. And then if we want to get throw a little more salt and pepper on it, we can always throw some sort of overdrive. And gosh, at this point in Helix's lifespan, there's just so many good overdrive pedals to choose from. I don't even know what I should do. Let's go for something. Let's go for a classic. We'll do the compulsive drive. How about that? And just hear how this sounds. Okay, so we play it again. I'll play again without the distortion. Just kind of out of the box, it's going to probably just sound really good. I'll go to the the bridge pickup. Okay, so that's with the OCD, and I really didn't tweak the OCD at all. You can see the gain and everything is I just left it just how it is, just do it on there. Okay, so now I'm going to venture out of this and show you guys a slightly more elaborate preset that I was using when we started the live stream. So we're going to, and I'm not saving this, so I don't know if anybody cares about this. I guess now might be a good time to take a screenshot, but I don't know. It's no big deal. But now we're going to go over here to this preset that I created, and this was like the first preset that I made with this idea, and this is a really great sounding preset. To the John Frusciante comment earlier, to me this one has a bit more of that sound. I'm going to turn the reverb and delay off and just let you hear it. I'll maybe go to a different pickup. And there's nothing else on that, just those compressors. Now I'm using some different compressors here. This one I've got the deluxe comp in the very first part of the chain, And again, you'll notice I didn't change the settings on it really. Ooh, look at there. The mix is at 100 on this guy. So, you know, what I was saying about 50%, that's just a place to start. Obviously, I went all the way. And I think that's what gives it more of a John Frusciante vibe, because it's so compressed. Then we'll go over here to the other compressor. That's the red squeeze. So I threw the red squeeze there, and it's on 50%. Okay? And I think this is a pretty good, you know, it's a pretty good sound. So let's just try something. I feel like, you know, a lot of the stuff that was going on with John Frusciante back in the day was maybe something like a phaser or a flanger. I don't remember. If anybody can remember, let me know. But I'll try a couple of them here. So let's try this deluxe phaser. Now, I put it here, but this is out of order. So you definitely want this phaser to be. You want it to be before the reverb and delay, but since I have the reverb and delay turned off right now, I'm just going to put it after that because they tie on, but they're not being used. So I think that should be okay. Boss CE1. Is that what he? Now I've got way too much of that in the mix, so you know, let's take a lot of that out. Tempo type thing could work. I think we actually have a tone template for John Frusciante on our website that's probably got it exactly like it was, so check that out if you haven't already. But let's see, I'm not much for using these kind of effects, so I don't really know which one of these is going to give us that sound, but you know, already maybe a little reverb to give us a little more. It's a lot of reverb. Investigation into that. I'm gonna take that out of there though because it's not really part of the thing. But then I throw a little. Now you'll notice on this I've got 2 amps on this preset as well. So I've got that 830 Fawn bright, and then once again the Grammatico bright. So I really love the Grammatico models on here. And with this verb, here. I've got the Deranged Master, and it's sick. Salt and pepper on it. Can you please explain the split paths? So all I did, I mean, I was just being experimental when I created this preset, and just wanted to mix and match some amps and just see how it would sound with 2 amps blended together. And actually, I believe everything is right down the center. So it's not exactly 1 amp all the way to the left and 1 amp all the way to the right, although you could do that. But you'll notice on all of these, I've got them they're set to 50%. Well, not 50%, but I guess 0, right in the middle, 50-50, or 100-100. I don't know how you want to look at that. And so I split it after the overdrive here. So the overdrive is controlling both amps. So again, it's like a blended sound. It's not necessarily a stereo sound. It's more of a blended sound, just to kind of get a unique tone. And I've had a lot of guys ask me about this preset, so I think it must sound pretty good. So it splits here with overdrive controlling both. Now both amps are running independently. Now 1 amp has reverb and 1 amp has the delay. But then I come down and tie it off here, and it's once again it's right in the center, and that's where I throw in compressor number 2. That way, you know, what you're really getting is just a blended sound of the 2 amps, rather than, you know, one of them panned all the way, which would also sound cool. And it's similar when you do that. You can certainly do that if you want. In fact, I pasted the link to this preset in the comments. It's like the very first comment. If you guys on Facebook or YouTube, it should be there. If you click on that link, it'll take you over to the custom tone page, and you can just snag that preset for yourself. I actually had a lot of people that downloaded that preset, and then I realized I think I did have the levels, the balance off or something in the way I had saved it before, so I took it down last night and reposted it like it is now. So if you happen to come across this Mathematic preset and it didn't sound like it was in stereo, luckily I realized that I had changed something unknowingly, and my good buddy Nick Bell pointed that out during our little virtual sound check yesterday. So I think this is a really cool guitar preset. Sounds great, you know, without distortion or delay, just maybe some verb. It's got a really, and I call it Mathematic because I feel like it has a modern math rocky vibe. In that single coil. reverb going on there. Yeah, so check that out. It's available on the custom tone page, and it's pretty versatile little preset. I think it's got potential to do a lot of different things, but it's pretty near and dear to me. So I think I kind of answered the. You use the LA Studio Comp at the end of your Stomp dual amp chain too. Oh, there you go, Aiden. So you're kind of already, you're already into this, and like I said, I'm sure a lot of you have tried this sort of stuff. But for those of you that are maybe new to Helix, or just, I don't know, it's been a while since you played around with it. I just wanted to share this because I think it's a cool thing, and it really helps when you're playing live. It really gives you like a super glossed over, and not in a bad way when I say glossed over. It just really makes it sound quality. It sounds like money, and then of course with the mics it's the same way. So I like to use, lately I've been using the 121 and the 160 a lot, and then throwing like this dual compressor thing on there, and it just sounds awesome. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I really appreciate all of you coming back and joining after last week's debacle. I really don't know what was happening there. I think it might have been just a matter of I needed to restart my computer. But I don't know. Sometimes the internet's a funny place. Don't be surprised if we all lose our internet soon. I heard something about a solar flare or something that was going to knock the internet out. So if that happens, I'll see you guys in the year 2025 or something. I don't know. But yeah, hope that was helpful. Thank you all. Go to the custom tone page, follow the link, and check it out. And then, yeah, your AZDH, I don't know what that stands for, but you're welcome, and thank you for the kind words. So yeah, hope that was fun for you guys. Go to the custom tone page. Thank you, Rodrigo, and everybody else for joining, and I will see you guys soon. I think next week is Ross Bailey will be up, the terror from across the pond, and he's awesome, so tune in for that, and we'll see you guys soon. Cheers.